everybody? I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a price for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Lazy Booking. No, it's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
What up, fam? Thursday nights. Birds of... Oh, my God. I'm a mess tonight, Ryan. I'm so messed up by the time.
Rewind.
This did not happen. The time is messing me up. The crew, which is me and you. Thursday night, niche night here on A2DRadio.com. Lazy Booking coming at you live from the Real Talk Studios. We're brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. Our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal. You can find him in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. You can find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com, as well as Ambuck Services, gutter cleaning. You need deck restoration, staining, gutter guard installation, deck installation, tree trimming. Whatever you need, you can find them at 856-879-5530 or visit them on the web, ambuckservices.com. Our ATS Sports Picks, which, by the way, use the promo code at atsportspick.com. Use A2D. Get 20% off your first-time purchases of packages. March Madness is coming up. It's a big betting time. If you missed the Super Bowl and you haven't been on there yet, get on there for all you sports betting junkies. Get in there and bet for us. Win some money on A2D. But our topic of conversation, Charlotte should challenge Rhea Ripley for the NXT title at WrestleMania. Agree, disagree. Instagram, Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We want to talk to you guys tonight. You have Chrome here. No Maddie tonight. But I do have the one and only Mr. Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos.
Mr. Chrome, always a pleasure, sir.
And who knows, we may get a surprise guest a little bit later.
Yes.
We don't know. We'll see. And if so, we'll let you know when he's coming into. Or when he's going to be joining us. But, guys, lots to talk about this week. I thought, one of the best NXT episodes in a while.
Yeah, it was great.
Really good NXT episode. We're going to talk a lot about that. We have a condensed 1-hour episode for you tonight of Lazy Booking. We're also going to talk, talking point or two from WWE's other programming, Raw, SmackDown, as well as AEW, and there's some things we could take away from it. We're going to be trying to fit in as much, but we promise we will talk about what I would say, and you know that I am critical, but I have to take the tip the cap. The final segment of AEW involving Cody Rhodes and MJF was brilliant. It did everything you needed. Great storytelling. The emotion from the situation was awesome, and we're going to talk about that. But let's get into the matter at hand. Let's talk about the topic. Ryan, do you believe that Charlotte Flair, winner of the Women's Royal Rumble match, should challenge Rhea Ripley for the NXT title or women's title, whatever they're
still calling it? You know what I mean?
They're sticking with just the NXT title, so...
I agree. We kind of touched on it a little bit last week when we were doing our Royal Rumble recap show.
Yeah.
We talked about the options, and I think this goes all the way back to, 2 weeks ago when we were previewing the Rumble, and we were talking about who should win the Women's Royal Rumble, who shouldn't. And unfortunately, when you talk about the list of competitors that should win it, Charlotte's name wasn't on there. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about the list of competitors on the list of who shouldn't win it, Charlotte's name was on there.
Correct.
So, and I think that's all based off, it's no disrespect to Charlotte. Obviously, she's one of the most talented, women's wrestlers in general in the business today. Yeah. But that's no breaking news. That's not a hot take. To me, and I think you would agree with this, I think a lot of people would agree with this, and I think this is why people tend to have a love-hate relationship with her character, and some say that she's gotten stale. It's because she's faced everybody. Yeah. She's faced everybody, So we looked at the options on, okay, she wins the Rumble. Do we really want to see her face Becky for the 1,000th time and basically have a very similar program to last WrestleMania season, just taking out Ronda Rousey? No, it was annoying by the end of the chain of events last year. Really don't want to go through with that again. Then you look at the alternative. You really want to see Charlotte versus Bayley again? No, because number one, Bayley is boring as hell. No disrespect, but she's boring as hell.
It's terrible.
We've gotten to the point where maybe we are wishing for the Bayley buddies to return.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm almost there. Because at least I could find excitement in my hatred. I can't find excitement in just straight up boredom. You know what I'm saying? And you're just looking at all the alternatives. Oh, if Bayley drops it to Sasha or Lacey Evans, there was nothing really that was wow. And obviously going into WrestleMania season, you want wow. You get that from Charlotte and Rhea. Because number one, you see Charlotte show up on NXT. That is very good for NXT because it's different. Two, she's one of the biggest stars in the world, so it provides prestige for NXT. Not that it needed it, but it's another level to it, another layer to it. And three, we never saw Rhea and Charlotte face each other in this format before, especially with a title on the line.
Right.
And you think of all the outcomes, and we kind of talked about it last week, even the chance of Rhea Ripley winning, that's fantastic.
Yep.
That's fantastic for NXT, and that's obviously fantastic for Rhea Ripley, who I think we would all agree, if she's not one of the most exciting women's wrestler or just wrestlers in general, she is the most exciting. You see, her stock going straight up into the air.
Yeah.
It's very exciting, and I think it's perfect timing for these two, wrestlers to meet.
Yeah, I would agree with the poll as well. For a lot of the reasons that you said. I mean, clearly that's a big reason why we've seen a lot of staleness that's come from Charlotte's character. It's the flip-flopping and and not to be mistaken for the Flair flop, but the flip-flopping, back and forth, and you're right. You're spot on. I mean, when I look at it, who are the who's who of women? And we kind of went through that over the last couple of weeks and why we thought this match would make the most sense, because it does open up an avenue also for another fantastic women's talent in Shayna Baszler.
Yes.
Who this opens up the door for her to have that program that we thought had to happen through the Rumble to get to, which it doesn't if this is the case. But you're really looking at, whether we love her or not, it's Sasha, Bayley. Bayley's the one I'm referencing, whether you love her or not. Sasha, Bayley.
Well, and also Sasha for you, because I know you're not.
I'm hot and cold. I'm not totally cold on her right now. But
why? 'Cause she's not on TV.
I mean,
right now,
I don't know if
I
don't even know if I'm even at like room temperature with her. But 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 then there's Becky and there's Charlotte, and you have these two young challengers now who are poised to come up and change the game in a way that hasn't been changed since these four women came up to the main roster. And that's not a knock on the Alexa Blisses and whatnot, because Alexa's had a great run as well, but it needs an infusion of new talent and exciting talent and people that feel like a big name talent. So I look at this and absolutely just seeing the image of these two women first on Raw.
Yep.
Nobody saw Rhea coming out.
No.
Rhea comes out on Raw and goes face-to-face and basically throws down the gauntlet to Charlotte. Charlotte does her thing up the ramp, doesn't say anything, and gives her a woo, and then walks off. Shows up this week. And I love the way that this was done, because you do feel it did have a feeling of, is Bianca Belair and her match with Rhea Ripley getting lost in the shuffle of this. The infusion of Bianca and utilizing Charlotte to basically demean what Bianca's done, even from the Rumble, I think gives more heat on Charlotte and gives Bianca just another rub.
Well, it really shows, and we talked about it last week, how awesome that Rumble was as a whole.
Yeah.
Because you look at, we spent all last week really talking about the storytelling in the men's Rumble. From Brock Lesnar dominating for the first, seemed like 2 hours of the match.
Yeah.
And then obviously McIntyre coming in, and then it became his stage. You see now that, like, for example, what were the biggest storylines from the women's Rumble? It was Bianca Belair dominating. Then it was Charlotte obviously winning, and then a side tidbit of Shayna Baszler at the end. Well, now you're intertwining the two biggest storylines from that, Belair dominating and Charlotte winning, now you see them last night in the ring together.
Yeah.
And I think it really shows, and this is a good sign, obviously, how much Triple H not only has input in NXT, but it's starting to kind of mold into the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, just because it's not a takeover doesn't mean Triple H has no input. And I think that's very exciting for, obviously, all of the fans that are sick and tired of Vince McMahon's, same old stuff.
Yeah, and then obviously Sean's fingerprints are all over NXT now as well.
Yes.
But it's interesting, and I would even take it a step further in what this could mean for the brand of NXT, because again, this is game changing, because everybody assumes when you win the Rumble, or you going after the SmackDown Championship or the Raw Championship. So infusing the NXT Championship into this adds a whole new wrinkle, not just for this year, but going forward. And that on top of it, it solidifies NXT as the third brand. And that's something that I felt like was a long way coming. For me, it's been the third brand. You could see the transition on the horizon for a while now.
Yeah.
And when I see this and I look at it, and for Charlotte to sit there and say, that's the title I'm going to go after against that talent, it's a rub on Rhea, it's a rub on the brand. And again, like you said, it creates moments. We haven't seen a Charlotte moment in NXT in years.
No.
So it's something that it's a throwback to those great moments that we used to see from her in NXT.
The last time we had a Charlotte moment in NXT, it was before I think a vast majority of fans kind of cared about NXT.
Right.
That was still when they were the developmental.
Yeah.
That was when it was Bailey. Is that Shayok on the floor? Do we have a Shayok sighting?
It might be.
Oh, dude, I'm ready. I'm sorry. I saw his face. I'm like, oh, my God, I've been asking for this. Let me ask you this, though, because not only, like, say, for example, I think on the surface right now we're both hoping Rhea wins the eventual matchup, correct? Ooh, I like this. I like the indecisiveness.
I don't know if I'm ready for her to win, because there's a part of me that looks at it and says that it would be cool to see Charlotte go back to NXT and have that run, and a lot of new talent for her to work with.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Charlotte is such an immense talent that on a week-in, week-out basis, to have her in front of smaller crowds at Full Sail, it's a little tougher for me.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that taking NXT eventually out of Full Sail is beneficial for that brand, because it does totally differentiate that brand, and it does cater to the quote-unquote mark community.
We look at TNA for all the good TNA years.
Yeah.
They were in a very similar atmosphere,
Correct.
like Full Sail, and nobody looked down on
Ring
TNA.
of Honor, too.
Exactly. Like, it created its own look.
Right.
Obviously, I'm not asking for NXT to adopt the six-sided ring, but you know what I'm saying? That I completely agree with you. Now, obviously, ticket sales, money, et cetera, yes, that would probably help the NXT brand, because it gives a lot more opportunities, especially on a bigger stage. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
I feel like they're trying to outthink themselves. NXT has gotten to this level to where I think if you would poll, let's say, 1,000 WWE fans, I think, and people at home, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think I'm overselling this. I think if you polled them asking, which do you prefer, main roster or NXT, I think they're preferring NXT.
Sure, I agree.
They got to this point not going on the road.
Yeah.
Not intertwining main roster superstars and needing them. They did it by doing the same thing that they've always done, and that's being different, being kind of the organic, what the WWE fan or wrestling fan truly wants.
Right.
Like we always talk about, CM Punk talks about it a lot on the Fox show, that it's overproduced. They're too worried about it being on the grand stage. And I remember him saying on a podcast, I don't know which podcast it was, that he looks at all of these stadium shows now, that everything has to be in a big stadium, this. Obviously at the Rumble, Andy will tell you, it was in a freaking baseball stadium.
Right.
And he says, while that's fun, it's not the most important thing.
Right. It's
not about how many people were there. It's about the event that happens in the building, not the building itself. If the event is in Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium, and the event sucks, nobody's going to care that it was in AT&T Stadium.
Right.
So my point is, if you're in Full Sail, how many people would you say that fits? A couple thousand? 1,000? Couple thousand?
Probably some 1,000, 2,000.
Yeah, say it's
maybe.
say 1,500 people. We'll meet right in the middle. And their events are great every single time. That's all people care about.
Yeah.
And like I've heard some people say, "Oh, well, don't you want?" Because I've had debates with people about this before. They would say, "Oh, well, don't you want these moments to be on a grander stage? That way, the crowd noise is crazy." Full Sail Arena is one of the craziest atmospheres there is.
And see, that's where the misconception is because, talk about Edge who came back, a couple weeks ago. Edge and Christian and those guys, when they talk about, moments that they've had and being in those stadium settings and massive football stadiums and baseball stadium settings, they talked about they couldn't tell the reaction from the crowd because everything goes up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We know that from football.
Yep.
Why is it such a home field advantage for the New Orleans Saints in the Dome?
Exactly.
Because you have that massive crowd, but everything stays inside, and so you can get that sense and see the reactions. But a lot of them, until they could visually see reactions of people going nuts, couldn't hear it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that doesn't translate on television very well. I've had times where I've been at WrestleMania, and kind of debriefing with people after the fact, talking about different moments, and they'll say, "Looked like the crowd was dead." And I'm like, "Crowd wasn't dead. I was in the crowd." You couldn't hear it. It didn't translate well on television, but the crowd was definitely not dead. But I would agree. But at the same time, man, when you think about, and it's a business, the money.
Oh, of course.
That they make. And especially you're talking about the weekend or the 5 days that it's essentially it's a 6-day thing pretty much that they have turned this into like Super Bowl weeks. Mm-hmm. If you're holding it in a stadium that holds 30,000, that's less people that are coming into town.
Yeah.
To go to all these other events as well.
True.
It's not just that specific event, it's everything that surrounds it now. It's a spectacle. Now, we're just talking specifically WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Would I prefer that things like the maybe let's just say we'll give them the Rumble at something like that too.
Yeah, of course.
Like there's been rumors and talk that the Big Four is going to start to do this. I don't need that.
No, if they want to do 3, if they want to do SummerSlam, which is the furthest point from WrestleMania,
right.
Basically. I don't know if it's the exact.
I mean, essentially, for all intents and purposes, SummerSlam is Summer WrestleMania.
Exactly.
I mean, it is the second biggest show of the year.
So if you're doing that, WrestleMania, and obviously Rumble, based off of crowd reactions, then yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if they need to do it for Money in the Bank and Survivor Series.
And I even still feel like that's too much.
Just because they're so close together, Rumble and WrestleMania?
I would just, maybe do it with SummerSlam. But to me, I don't like that idea. So I can kind of see his point with that. I do believe that there should be a focus more on the event. But that being said, kind of getting back and reeling it back in, I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that wants to see that with Charlotte, but there's also a part of me that wants to see her on a grander stage more frequently. However, I don't feel like Rhea needs to win this match to get the rub. I don't feel like it's a necessity. If she does, it's huge. But we've seen, I feel like it's going towards Charlotte winning because we've seen, and they've emphasized already, the times that she has pinned Charlotte twice already. I know people are going to dump on it if that happens. I won't be one of them. I expect these two women to go out and if this is what happens, to put on a clinic out there. And that's what I ultimately want to see. I want to see new matches on this stage and new stars made. To me, Charlotte is the Undertaker rub for women.
Absolutely.
You don't have to win against Charlotte. If you can hang with Charlotte and put on a classic and a clinic, doesn't matter if you win or lose. You're a made person in this business, particularly because she is such a darling with the front office as well. If you can hang, your star is going to be out there for a long time with WWE. I don't think that coming up with Charlotte did a lot of those women favors. Becky has found her niche.
Mm-hmm.
Sasha's kind of just been the same thing. Bailey is...
Bailey.
I'll give Bailey this, though. She put out a great tweet this week. Somebody tweeted and said, Bailey, how come you don't have a VIP at Access? And she put in all caps, because I don't want to meet you.
That's good. That's good.
That was
like that.
I'll give her that.
I like that.
So, but yeah, I mean,
I don't want to meet you.
it was pretty
good.
funny. I laughed.
That's really good.
But I have to say, like, this is what I want. This is what I want to see. And again, we kind of talked the last couple of weeks. I feel like it's going Charlotte, Rhea, Becky, and Shayna, and I do believe that Shayna should be the person to or dethrone Becky.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that we are going to get Sasha and Bailey, and I'm fine with that. In this instance, I'm fine with it. Hopefully, it's Bailey that turns face, because the heel thing is not working. I have a feeling it's going to go the other way around, though.
I'll tell you, too, and I think we kind of touched on this last week, when you kind of, put all of the projected matches together for the titles at least. For everyone who wants Rhea to win or Charlotte to win, it's very interesting because you look at the projected title changes that are possibly going to be made. Like we talked about, I think we were joking about it, that it seems like every title was going to change, which that's not obviously going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, last year they did almost close to a hard reset of all the titles.
Yeah.
So it could happen.
Well, but that's another reason why. Do you see them really doing that
2
twice
years
in a row?
No, I don't.
No. Another reason why I would be fine with Charlotte winning, you kind of mentioned it too. I would want to see Charlotte going up against some of these NXT women, obviously. Like, to me, I'll ask you this, and fam at home, feel free to chime in on this. If you had to say, the 2 or 3 women, the most exciting, you could say new or just, the ones that have been around for a while, who are the 3 most exciting WWE women's wrestlers right now to you?
Overall in the company?
Yes.
Well, obviously Rhea and Shayna. I'm going to go away from the common, and I'm going to say Io, because to me that's
my 3. That is my 3. Absolutely.
If I'm going WWE, who I am now invested in again, which I think it took a long way to get there, I would add Asuka to that mix right now.
Yeah.
But taking her out of the equation, to me, it's easily
Those
Rhea,
3.
Shayna, and Io right now. Io
Toni
Shirai.
Storm's close. She's up there.
I mean, if I'm going beyond, to me, I'd have to put her beyond those 3 and beyond at least Becky and Charlotte. I might even take it another step further and I could probably figure out another 1 or 2 women. Like, I'm more invested in Dakota Kai right now. I'm interested in her character. You know what I mean?
I forgot all about her.
So there's a lot of great talent in women's talent in NXT right now. And I mean, I'm a Mercedes Martinez fan, and now people are going to get to see her. She'll be down there for a while.
It looks like she's being groomed to be Rhea's replacement, to be honest.
It could be. Casey Catanzaro is another one. I know you love yourself some Casey Catanzaro.
Phenomenal.
She's very small in the ring, but she's super athletic. She's almost like the cruiserweight version of a woman in terms of women's wrestlers. And the things that she can do, and we know she can do from her American Ninja Warrior experience. But I enjoyed the match this week with her, with Mercedes Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I didn't realize how long Mercedes has been in wrestling.
Yeah,
19 years is crazy. But she should have been around in one of these companies a long time ago. I was shocked that they didn't bring her in after the first Mae Young Classic. I'm going to get over to the book here. Raska says, where is Peter at and the other gang? Well, Peter's not normally on this show, Raska.
Wrong show, Raska.
Wrong show there, pal. And Maddie has to work tonight. So Andy says, walking into my walkthrough, just wanted to pop in the show and show some love. Y'all are going to have a great show. Lots coming off NXT last night. Can't wait to listen back. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, Andy.
Brian Daly from the Hockey Happy Hour. You'll catch them at 10 o'clock tonight, guys. Says, my guy, yes, I would love to see the Queen face Rhea. Let me scroll down here. Matt Milcarrick says, Charlotte has run out of things to do. I love her going to NXT. I think we're all on board with that. Frank says, did someone say, wow? Does the Owen Wilson wow? Frank Vespi also says, hey, yo, sorry to bother your work. Just wanted to say hello. Appreciate you, Frank. Greg says, what's up, fellas? Agree to the poll.
Hello, Greg.
Matt says, the main roster women's division is the worst it's been since the Evolution started. Some of it is injury, some of it is booking, but they need star power bad. Agreed.
Yep.
Matt also says, Triple H. I'm thinking Hockey Happy.
I know. I'm like, Hockey Happy.
This is the one studio where that's confused, and it shouldn't be confused during a wrestling show.
We have two Triple H's.
He says, we'll probably have more input with the pay-per-view since the XFL is here. I hope so.
I hope so.
He asks, so is Finn though, and he's just doing NXT? I missed that point, but I'm assuming he's saying that. I don't know. Under 1,000 asks Steve-O. So under 1,000 people fit in.
Huh.
I would have said probably, Ryan, I thought you were right around 1,000 would have probably been right, but I've never been there. I don't know. A lot of companies hold their biggest shows WrestleMania week. I mean, they do it twice a year in Saudi Arabia.
That's the other one, too. It's like, I think you and I just hate those shows just because, number one, they're glorified house shows. That's another reason why, especially this year, I think we kind of roll our eyes at all these big stadium shows because it's like we see every pay-per-view this time of year is in one of those stadiums.
Matt says your girl Mia is still there.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with her.
I don't love Mia's character right now. It doesn't feel like it clicks to me.
I'm a fan of her, just not her what she is.
Well, Matt knows I am a huge Mia Yim fan. I was super excited when they signed her. That being said, it's just not clicking for me. He says, this is interesting. Let's get your take on this.
Okay.
I'm glad that you mentioned this, Matt. He believes that Bayley is a better heel than Sasha is a face. Sasha is a, all caps, terrible face.
Yeah, Sasha can't. We kind of talked about this in the past. Like, I would have to skip through Sasha Banks's face promos because they were so friggin' cringy because you could tell she's reading from a script. Because that's not, like, you and I kind of talked about it. I
kind of disagree with this, but go ahead.
See, I thought, to me, that she was better as a heel because she's being her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, she's being herself in a way. That when she was being a baby face, it's like, no, you're not, you're the boss. The boss isn't a baby face. Bayley's Bayley. I don't know. I try and find positives. I can't. I'm sorry.
I have to see. I disagree. And now we're splitting hairs on this. I mean, in actuality, neither are good in those roles. But I still think that you could convey the boss gimmick as a badass face much more than a complete. Nothing about Bayley as a heel comes off genuine other than a tweet. And the reason it came off so great is because she didn't have to speak and try to act it to show it.
Yeah.
I mean, her look is good. The look change was huge. Getting rid of the Bayley buddies was huge. I like her entrance music. The presentation before is huge. When she talks, I don't buy any of it.
See, I think her entrance sucks because it looks like she's falling asleep walking down there. And I'm like, okay, if you're falling asleep, she's got that friggin', what is that thing on her head? You know what I'm saying? Like, the music's cool. The music's all right. But it's like it's like she's doing the Undertaker walk down there.
It is very.
You know, she's going the same speed.
Yeah. Like when she puts the hand down and does the. Like, it's just, it's so not
It's so
freaking.
Again, it's like, we were joking about it last week. Her first gimmick was like an 11-year-old girl. Now she's like a 17-year-old trying to find herself in high school.
Exactly.
It's like, can we get to the adult stage, please?
Exactly.
Can we get through the freaking high school?
Can we just grow up already? No, I mean, but again, like, you know, my biggest issue is they've put this Bayley heel character out there, and it hasn't stood on its own. It's been doing the bidding of Sasha Banks. We just watched that happen with Lacey Evans, to where now Lacey gets a title shot because Bayley's doing the bidding for Sasha, and then she has to step in. It was just, I don't buy it. She's still Sasha's lackey.
So annoying.
And she's the women's champion.
It should be the other way around.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, my God.
And I can't get invested in it.
Damian Estrada on YouTube.
What's he say?
He says Bailey's heel is like Eugene's gimmick, just stupid as hell.
Oh, that's so mean.
Is he wrong?
I mean,
is he wrong? I don't think the man is lying.
It ain't good. It ain't good.
Like-
Matt says Chrome Hearts the Asians. Raska says Trish Stratus is way more better than Sasha Banks. Trish Stratus is a legit boss. So, other points from NXT.
We had a big one. We've been waiting. We talked about it last week.
Let's just kind of go through the program. I'm going to
Yeah.
skip the match parts of it because they were what they were. I mean, obviously, I loved what they did with Undisputed Era. The Matt Riddle promo, let's just get this out of the way, was goofy.
Yeah.
And I was shocked that they had that they're playing off of this, like, Matt Riddle's the goofy guy and Pete Dunne's kind of the uptight one. So, like, he's like, oh, Pete had the biggest party week of his life, or he's having a good time, and they show him kind of very, like, stone-faced. And they're kind of playing up this, like, Riddle's like the real goofy guy and trying to break Pete Dunne. And it just didn't work this week. What saved him, though, and this is why I'm willing to write this one off and just say, okay, this didn't work. I don't expect this kind of stuff from Riddle. It's not anything we've normally seen. Is everything that transpired after. Everything with the Undisputed Era and the way that this show built from beginning to end, focused from the opening segment. We always said this, right, Ryan? How the best shows back in the day with Raw, now everything is so segmented and this and that. But if you remember back, and it always happened in the Attitude Era, and I'm not the biggest Attitude Era guy overall, but I loved the main event picture, and it always focused on what opened the show was the catalyst throughout the show that ended up ending the show.
Yes.
It was a bookend.
Yep.
And this is what you saw. You saw a great story that tied different feuds and storylines together to come up with an ultimate ending that was huge. Having that focus on the tag team titles with Riddle and Dunne, and then the Undisputed Era, the rest of the Undisputed Era interjects themselves. Ciampa comes out. William Regal, I almost said Steven Regal. William Regal comes out and says, I'm over this. We're settling it tonight. We're having a match.
Yep.
Normally, that's it. All right. Hey, this and that. We're fading out. No, these dudes go all out brawling with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. And it ends up being this massive thing. And then later on, it's, they're looking for Ciampa and they're looking for all these different things. And they're taking people out. Even the little nuance of shaving the guy's head just to be bullies. Like, I loved how it carried and segmented through the whole show to get to the end of this, to where obviously the Undisputed Era has the leg up. They take down Riddle and Dunne are down. They focus on Ciampa, who they said may be hurt coming out of this week.
Yeah,
I
I heard
haven't
that.
seen an update. I hope not. But to get to that ending where nobody sees it coming, and we've been waiting for it for a while, the return of the Velveteen Dream.
Thank God he didn't turn heel.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid of that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we have a lot of faces, so we're just going to turn them heel. No, they're not shoehorning it. They're, okay, he was over as a face. We're bringing him back. We're going to bring him back on the same storyline on, hey, Undisputed Era sent him away.
Yep.
He's coming back and attacking them.
Yep.
That's storytelling without overthinking it.
Right. I just love the presentation of NXT as a whole this week, and implementing that was really huge. Not that I would have ever guessed that Velveteen was necessarily coming back this week.
No.
But you could tell something big was going to happen in the main event when a Charlotte return is not the final segment.
You know what's funny? So I was watching the thing on tape at like 4 in the morning because if anyone was watching AM to PM last night, we got done at like 2 o'clock in the morning because of the breaking news with the Sixers. So I'm watching it. And the Charlotte, I lost track of time, and I'm watching the Charlotte thing, and as that's getting done, I'm going to turn it off, and then I see, wait, this is it? There's more, and I immediately thought the same thing you just said, Chrome. On, oh, something's gonna happen, and you know what I honestly thought, because we were kind of thinking, and this could happen eventually. I thought they were gonna end the show with, why am I blanking on his name? Oh my God, the one member of Undisputed Era. The one who just had the title, who dropped it to Keith Lee. Why am I dropping his name? Roderick Strong. I thought they were going to turn on him, and that was going to be the ending of it. So I'm thinking, okay, this is what they're going to do. No, it's freaking Velveteen Dream.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God, this makes total sense.
Loved it. Yeah, I thought this was a great segment. I was really into it. And then another, great segment, super effective segment was the side-by-side interview
Oh, with
of
Finn
Johnny
and
Gargano and Finn Balor.
Yeah.
And, oh, my God. That was one of my favorite side. I mean, you know how much I go back and you know how much I loved the Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar side-by-side that they did a couple of years ago before the greatest pay-per-view of all time, Great Balls of Fire. And that was a powerful segment for those two guys, and to see that promo work.
It was like a UFC fight they were billing it as.
Johnny Gargano, first of all, Finn is no joke. And I loved Gargano going back to, don't give me the guy who was jobbing out to, who was it? It wasn't Elias. Who did he say he was losing to week in and week out?
Oh, Lord.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's basically talking about his jobs that he was doing
Yeah.
for 2 months and 3 months and this and that in the same segment every week. He said, don't bring that guy because you don't stand a chance. That's the guy I want. Talking about his eyes, and it was perfect. I cannot say enough about how excited I am to finally see this match. And this is a throwback to when wrestling was great. And I know it only happened by chance because of the Gargano injury, which has played into this nicely.
Mm-hmm.
But we always talk about how the days of story building over a couple of months before you actually get the big payoff of the match is almost like a lost art these days. But now we're going back to these guys should have been battling each other at War Games. And that was what, November? That was right before Survivor Series.
Yeah, it was the day before. It felt like forever ago, yeah.
It's February. There's been a 3.5 month build to this.
Has it been that long?
And an anticipation for this.
Oh, my God.
And they're going to be, so you're looking at basically a 3-month build to this, which is the old days when you had the big four and there was a pay-per-view every 3 or 4 months or 2.5 months, when you can let these stories breathe, man. And this gives me that feeling I had when I was a kid and they didn't have 12 pay-per-views or 15 events on the network. And this is kind of, when you were kind of growing up and getting into it, that was start of the Attitude Era and all that stuff.
Yeah.
By that point, Bischoff and Vince had taken it to that 12 pay-per-view thing. I remember when it was 4 and then it was 6 and they would have Clash of Champions or, Tuesday night in Texas and that stuff, occasionally a special event. But they would still be able to build these stories. But the saturation, the oversaturation, where we see now where we're getting Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns for 4 straight pay-per-views, or even take it back, before when we would see these guys who would wrestle each other in some form on Raw, and then we'd have to watch them for 2 or 3 months on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You get over it.
Yes.
We haven't seen this.
No.
2 or 3 times these guys have gotten physical with each other.
Yep.
And that's it.
Well, it keeps it fresh. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, man, it's just – I'm so excited for this match. So freaking excited for this match. And I have a feeling this could be a match of the year in any company candidate.
Now, when is this? It's TakeOver Portland, correct?
Correct.
When is that?
A week from Sunday. So
Oh.
it's on a Sunday night because there's no WWE.
Yeah. No, that's why I was confused. I was going to say because they're not going to do it around the Saudi Arabia thing. They're not going to wait until what's the other one? Elimination Chamber,
Right.
Which is what, a month away or
March
something.
8th, I believe, in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's not too. That's a month away.
Right.
A month away. I got to ask you this though, because I know you want to get to AEW before we get rolling.
Yeah.
I'm worried about something.
What are you worried about?
And I got to ask your opinion on this because I think you and I share this, and we haven't even discussed it once. So a certain wrestler's coming back tomorrow, and it's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
Mr.
Goldberg.
Who the hell is he wrestling
Roman.
now? Damn it.
First of all, listen. If this is going to get us past Baron Corbin and dog food, I'm in. That's number one. Roman deserves better. Secondly, there has been a subtle build to this on Twitter with the discussion of the spear.
Yeah.
It's in Saudi Arabia. This is what they do in Saudi Arabia. There's other rumored matches that I'm more concerned about than that.
Like what?
I don't know how much of a rumor or validity is to it, but it has been thrown around that there could be a Undertaker Sting match.
I heard that.
I don't.
But that's WrestleMania, right? This is
Saudi Arabia.
They wouldn't do that to us.
Yeah,
they wouldn't do this match, but not. They would put it in Saudi Arabia. No, they wouldn't do.
Sure, they
no.
They put Shawn Michaels' one return match in Saudi Arabia.
I know they would do it, but they wouldn't dare.
They will. Here's the thing. Okay,
Come on now.
I'm going to be the guy. First of all, I don't think we get Undertaker at WrestleMania, and I'm okay with it.
But we can't be okay with it if we get Undertaker in Saudi Arabia, but not a month later.
I'm fine with it. Saudi Arabia after it's over, it never happened. So
I know, but still.
Here's the thing, right?
This is unbelievable.
I'm looking at WrestleMania now, and if I don't know how involved NXT is going to be, or if they're only having an NXT match on WrestleMania if they're challenged for their title. But if that's the case, I would be more inclined to see the NXT men's and women's titles defended on WrestleMania and removing quote-unquote nostalgic matches that at this point now is now about 8 years removed from when it should have happened.
No. I understand what you're saying. We had to put up with freaking Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler at WrestleMania. We had to watch that for 23 minutes, Grove. I can't get 17 minutes of Sting and Undertaker, even if they're falling all over the place.
I mean, that could end up being worse than Goldberg.
Just do the entire match in the dark. It's fine. They did the Bray Wyatt match in front of a freaking projector. It's fine. They have the stupid red light. You're doing a red light for the Fiend. Do a black light for the Undertaker and Sting.
I could do without it at WrestleMania. If they want to give it to me on a Saudi show, I'm fine with it at this point.
I refuse.
I
refuse.
I'm okay with it.
Just when I thought I couldn't hate those shows anymore, they take this away from me.
Well, brace yourself, buddy, because there is a very good chance
I refuse.
that is exactly what you might say.
It's so funny because 5 minutes ago I was worried about Goldberg. Now I'm fine. Welcome back, Goldberg. Welcome back. It makes sense, too, because they would build it. Okay, well, Roman almost won the Rumble. Roman beat Goldberg. Roman faces the Fiend.
Right.
So it's elevation. Is there any other matches you're hearing?
No, that's all I got so far. But I mean, obviously, we already know that you're going to get Ricochet and Brock.
Yeah.
That came
I'm cool with that. That's fun.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. It's continuity with the storyline they've already been running. Mm-hmm. It bridges you to Drew. Totally down with it. I think Ricochet will get a rub in this. We'll see how much Brock likes Ricochet, because when Brock likes a guy, and you saw it with Daniel Bryan, he'll go 15 minutes with him and make him look like $1 million. I got a feeling that Brock's going to give Ricochet a real good rub.
They would have to. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think they would even agree to this, because I don't know how a match like that works unless he gives Ricochet the Daniel Bryan treatment.
Right.
There's no way, because it's not like Brock's a face and Ricochet's a heel to where Ricochet could have outside interference, and you know what I'm saying? It's literally Ricochet versus Lesnar. There's no outside help.
I know it's a Saudi Arabia show, but 2 years ago, would you have said that you'd see Ricochet versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title?
No, that's why I'm cool with this.
The WWE title. Would you have ever thought that you would see that, especially this early? I love it.
Forget about title. I would have never guessed we would have seen that match ever.
Yeah. Great for Ricochet, man.
Yeah, especially it
I'm
seemed
super excited for him.
about 3 months ago, I was really frustrated with what they were doing with him. They put him in that the superhero costume, and on SmackDown, everyone's favorite superhero, Ricochet.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, no.
They still kind of say it,
But at least they don't have him in this stupid outfit anymore.
Yeah.
They were trying to turn him into Shorty G.
Only.
Yeah. And they had the stupid music with the poing.
Don't forget, you just said Shorty G. You didn't call him Gable.
Well, see, they've put it. I've been brainwashed. They've been putting it in my head.
brainwashed.
No, because they gave him the Shorty G treatment. That's what they were trying to do. Oh, let's put this guy who's a great wrestler in a costume.
Yeah.
And just change his name. It's unnecessary.
I'm excited for him, though. I mean, he's a Heyman guy.
Yeah.
Clearly, Ricochet is a Heyman guy, so I'm super stoked for him.
You're freaking winking at me.
Mr. Daly has entered the studio, folks. Don't forget, he's going to be joining you guys for Hockey Happy Hour at the top of the hour.
Daly, do you want to see Sting and Undertaker wrestle? No. How about at Saudi Arabia? No. That's the correct answer. What about at WrestleMania? No. Well, screw you then.
He's in on the Charlotte and Rhea Ripley.
All right.
We are too. I love it. Anything else? I'm trying to think of what else happened from Monday Night Raw.
Damian Estrada says maybe we get a Goldberg versus Undertaker rematch.
Oh, God, I'm good. Oh, I'm good on that.
Listen, it would only happen in Saudi Arabia.
We got that great moment already, and I don't think that's a moment that'll
I don't think either of them can remember
slip from
it
our
either.
minds anytime soon.
I don't think. Well, it'll slip from their minds because I don't think they remember it because they were both concussed, were they not? One of them was.
I know Goldberg was before he even got in the ring.
So it slipped
Idiot.
his mind right away.
Oh, my God. I'll tell you what.
Bad things happen over there, man. You Triple H with the torn triceps. Kane's mask fell off. Undertaker was sliding around the ring. Shawn had a bald friggin' head. Goldberg passed out in the ring and almost dropped Undertaker on his head.
Bald-headed Shawn does not work.
Yeah, maybe Sting shouldn't. Maybe just what is his real name? They always used to call him that in TNA.
Steve Borden?
Yeah, Steve, just stay home, Steve.
Well,
Steve, just stay home.
Maybe he shows up as like Surfer Sting.
What
with
the
like
hell? That's
three
fine.
hairs on his head. And
and they're all blonde. It's like,
oh, my God.
Daly, who's the baby from Rugrats? The one with 3 little hairs? Tommy. It's like Tommy from
Pickles.
Rugrats. Tommy Pickles.
We're going to have the Tommy Pickles versus the Undertaker match, guys.
In a strap match.
In a strap match.
In a diaper on a pole match.
Oh, my Lord. Who could happen? Could happen.
I'll tell you what, Saudi Arabia would love to see it.
Dog food. We had dog food this week again.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really have anything to
It was
say.
a weird color. It didn't look like dog food. It looked like baby food, actually. It didn't look like dog food to me.
It's brutal. Can you imagine being Fox and looking at your program, and your program is ending with dog food week after week?
I'll go one step above that. Imagine being Fox and realizing not only do you have that ending your programming every week, you are paying an additional handful of employees to do a recap show leading off with
dog food.
Them watching a B-roll highlight reel of them covering a grown man in dog food and them critiquing it like it's a basketball highlight.
It's amazing.
Oh, I really like his form spreading the dog food on the forehead.
It's amazing.
That's Fox. That's your investment, Fox.
It's brutal. I can't imagine what Fox is sitting back now and like the executives and saying, we're getting fucking dog food.
We asked for Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey, and we're getting dog food
from King Corbin
and something called a Bailey Buddy.
And a Bailey Buddy. It's brutal. You spoke about strap matches. That's a perfect transition.
I try.
Before we get off, I want to touch base on a couple of things. Actually, before we do that, let's just bring up this idea that this is news that dropped today, which is why it's not in the criteria. Well, let's just talk about it. WWE had their quarterly earnings conference call.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are very profitable. They've made a lot of money this quarter, which is debunking the idea that they were losing money, which is why executives were gone. That, I think they were just doing a change of strategy. But that being said, the idea now is floated out there that they may take the major pay-per-views off of the network.
Oh.
I'm thinking they haven't clarified what that means, if it's all pay-per-views or what have you. I'm thinking it's probably maybe the big four like WrestleMania, Survivor Series, Rumble, and SummerSlam, and selling them to another provider similar to what UFC's done with ESPN. So you would then have to have a membership there or a subscription to that.
People are going to be pissed.
Well, here's the deal. It makes sense. It does make sense. I'm not saying it doesn't. My thing is, this would be very easy for me to do. Like, other than the big events, I don't really watch the network that much.
I don't.
I binge watch because there's not enough original content for me to sit down and do it. But what happens is I watch the takeovers, obviously, and I go through a 2 or 3 week binge every 3 or 4 months of watching a bunch of the content that has been posted that I haven't seen. If you're taking those events off, it's a very easy strategy for me. I'm not paying whatever they're going to make me pay month in and month out. I'll do what I do with MLB right now. I subscribe to MLB at Bat. When I'm disgusted with my team, I'm not paying them $26 a month to get MLB at Bat. And I'm very disgusted with a lot of things on my team, and I'm not going to pay for it right away until they make a move. But I digress. That'll be a conversation for another day. That being said, I would, on months of TakeOver, that's the month I'll subscribe, and I'll cancel my subscription after that month.
Absolutely.
And whatever is new on the network, I'll binge watch it.
Well, it's very simple. You know, when you talk about the big four or whenever something's happening, like I think we were kind of in the middle of it about 2 months ago. We were kind of in like a lull period to where even WWE was saying, yeah, we're just waiting. Yeah. We're just waiting. Like, why should I have to go out of my way to a network or whatever, or a different provider to see a filler pay-per-view?
And I don't need to subscribe now to watch NXT every week.
No, exactly. Like, to me, I think this would be for a lot of casual viewers, and I'm not a casual viewer, obviously, but I think it would completely diminish the whole purpose of the network. Completely diminish it.
Matt, real quick, says, I'd love to see Madden do a breakdown of the dog food segment.
Listen, if Fox pays him enough money, I feel like that will be part of it.
That's funny.
It's a great idea.
You know,
I think that would completely backfire on them, to me.
Well, I was actually just talking to Matt. We're in a group chat, and I was talking to him in there, and I dropped this idea in that the problem with the network that I'm seeing, I don't have a problem if they raise the price point to like a $12.99 thing. I'm cool with that. But when I look at the network, what I'm seeing is there's a lot of missed opportunity there. They could have done, like there's original content. They're not dropping enough quality original content. And the original content that they have, they abandon shows too quickly. Breaking Ground was one of the best shows that they put on the network without question. And I look at over the last couple of years, the missed opportunities to continue that as new waves of talent came in. And then on top of it, they've continued, because they focused a lot of that around like that Brooklyn takeover and stuff, but they've continued to have these amazing takeover presentations that they could have continued to tell the backstories with this talent and continue to introduce that talent.
I think it's even further. I mean, you're absolutely right. But to me, we talk all the time that there's so much cable programming with wrestling.
Yeah.
There's so much. And then on top of that, when you add the network stuff, to me, I don't have enough time in a day, let alone a week, to see all this. Like I told you, when, like, for example, I'm either producing a show or hosting a show. And then, for example, last night, I'm watching NXT just so I could talk about it today at 4 o'clock in the morning. So, and that's just the cable stuff. Then I'm catching up on AEW throughout the day.
Yeah.
There is zero time for me to then enjoy whatever is on the network. And then to your point, there's nothing that completely that doesn't grab me. I'm not going to sacrifice whatever time I have to see it.
You know what, Ryan? You gave me a great idea for a new segment because of the fact that there's so much content out there. Mm-hmm. Everybody who's on the show, I like a clip of the week. Something that if you can't watch everything, go on social media and look it up. And I'm going to give you one right now. I got to give shout out to NWA and the product they're putting out there. I'm going to give two. Marty Scurll and Nick Aldis from last week, a 10-minute clip interview between those two building up to their world title match was fire. And I'm going to take it another step for NWA because their program is outstanding right now. If you take the time, I don't have the time to watch it, so I catch clips on Twitter and stuff. Eddie Kingston cut a promo this week. Unbelievable. It's a 2-minute clip. Go on NWA. They put a lot of clips from their programs on their Twitter. Check out Eddie Kingston's promo this week. Absolute fire. Talking about homicide. But real quick, I know we're going to be hopping off in a minute. I do want to just talk about or mention the final segment of AEW. Ryan, you watched it before we went on the air because, again, you don't have a ton of time to watch everything. You caught NXT, didn't catch that. This was the best segment I've seen AEW do since AEW's been around. And it was the final step for Cody to face MJF at, what's the new Revolution?
Revolution,
okay.
I believe.
I don't know. It's the final step for them to before he could officially have the steel cage match. And they had 10 lashes with a belt in the ring. Man, this was brutal to watch. And on top of it, the way that this was done, having Double A come down, having the Bucks come down, having Dustin come down, ultimately Brandy came down, and just willing him through to get through it. And, man, I mean, it was nasty, his back. I have to say it's one of the most powerful segments I've seen. And it's tough. If you're squeamish, you may not want to watch it. And then, obviously, the MJF thing to do is to kick him in the balls after the fact and run.
And they get in a fight with a fan.
And getting a fan attacked him in the crowd when they ran through the crowd. Yeah. But
yeah,
I got to say, talk about clip of the week, this would probably be my ultimate clip of the week. Go back and check this out if you haven't seen it. This was a really strong segment from AEW, and it has excited me for something. Big time.
Yeah, it definitely captured, especially with Brandy coming down. You know, that was, it was a segment, and I was starting to feel it at the very beginning. It was a segment that could have easily have dragged.
Sure.
Because there was a lot of time in between the lashes. But it didn't drag.
No.
It was like a 15-minute segment, and there was little to no action.
But
it was the
amazing.
Emotion of it that kept it going.
Yeah,
which was really hard to do.
As they got through, and Cody is Cody. I mean,
he's the best wrestler in the world. He's the best wrestler in the world.
Last couple comments before we hop off. I just want to say, Matt says, thank you. 1,000% agree. The original content blows, talking about the network.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
Says, National Treasure, love me some Nick Aldis. He's amazing. He says, he talks about homicide saving his life. Legit gave me chills. It did me too. And he says, I don't know about the best yet, but it's the best segment since Cody chased Y2J into the box and he broke the door. Yeah, I mean, maybe splitting some hairs. That was a great segment too. I love this because of the emotion. And Matt, and you're absolutely right. It's a segment that could have felt like it was dragging on forever. Absolutely was fire throughout. Guys, thanks for joining us this week. We apologize. Short version this week of Lazy Booking. We'll be back. Regular scheduled time, which is like 7:30, 7:45. It's not really a regular scheduled time. It's whatever we get
Every
on.
Thursday night.
Every Thursday night between 7:30 and 7:45. You'll catch myself. I believe Maddie will be back next week. Mr. Brodo, barring any unforeseen circumstances, should be here next week.
Yes, sir.
But again, thank you to our sponsors, ATS Sports Picks. Obviously, get on their promo code A2D. Get you 20% off your purchases. Get on their ATS Sports Pick, singular, not plural, on the website.com. Ambuck Services, gutter cleaning, 856-879-5530. Check them out on the web, ambuckservices.com. Get any kind of gutter restoration or deck restoration, tree trimming, all kinds of stuff they get you. And obviously our doctor, we love him, Dr. Paul Vidal, Burley and Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. Find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Until next week, stick here. Hockey Happy Hour, top of the hour. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.